so much. Really excited today to welcome Mike,
Yeah.
Director of Admissions of the Dunn School, and we will go through our Zoomside chat. So Mike, can you first introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Mike McKee. I'm the Director of Admissions here at the Dunn School out in California. So looking forward to our conversation today.
Awesome. So just to get us started, so where is Dunn located, and could you describe the environment surrounding Dunn?
Sure. So as I mentioned, we're in California in Santa Barbara County, so about 30 minutes of downtown Santa Barbara. We're in what's called Santa Barbara's wine country. So imagine rolling hills and vineyards and beautiful, cute downtowns. 20 minutes to the ocean, also access to national forests right in our backyard. So a wonderful location to have a school.
Awesome. How does your location impact the school experience and like how the students experience Dunn?
Yeah, so being where we are, first of all, the climate is almost perfect year round. It's about 75 degrees and sunny just about every day. And with the access to the resources we have, things like the ocean and the mountains and a beautiful campus, it allows our students to, be more active. I think a lot of people move to California for the active lifestyle and the healthy environment. And you see that reflected in kind of our campus community and the type of students and faculty we have here.
Yeah, I see those lacrosse sticks behind you.
Yeah, those are from my East Coast roots.
Yeah. So how would you describe the Dunn community?
Yeah, it is a caring community. People ask me to describe the kind of students that we have on campus, and I say we just have nice kids. It's a place that there's something grounding about this environment that allows students just to be themselves and not have to put on an air of who they think they should be. So it's one that students and faculty kind of build each other up instead of kind of tearing down, which is really healthy and fun to see among our students.
Great. What is a surprising or little known fact about Dunn?
Yeah, I don't even like to talk about this one, but it's our mascot. Our mascot is a little pincher bug called an earwig. And while it's not a little known fact, it's a surprising one that our alumni and our students think is endearing and cute and quirky, but quirky for sure.
What is the origin of it? Do you know? Like, where did you guys come up with that? Or
I believe so. We were in a athletic league that has several schools with kind of different type of mascots, and I think at that time people were naming their mascots in that silly way. But when the school was under construction, there was talk of they just kept finding these pincher bugs around, and that's how it came to be.
Yeah. Well, you got good company, I guess, with UC Santa Cruz, the banana slug, right?
Exactly.
Not the only one.
Exactly.
What do you think is one of the favorite dining hall foods for students or for you too?
Yeah. So typically when I tour a family around our school and we step foot into the dining hall, there's usually some kids in there snacking or doing work. And I ask those students just to give an honest representation to a visiting family of the food there. And I would say 99% of the time, the students rave about the food. So it's incredible, lots of options. Being in California, we get most of our produce right from down the road. So locally sourced and organic. The thing I love most is they do something called a Thursday tasting where they introduce a different food from around the world. Things like, Vietnamese street food is an example, but just kind of expanding our horizons as far as the food that we eat in the dining hall, and they take a lot of pride in what they put out there.
Great. What is your favorite annual tradition that Dunn has?
Yeah, this one's really fun. Is the annual lip sync that they do on campus, and the faculty. It's amazing to see how involved the faculty get with this, and they like to surprise the students and doing an act, and then the students just having fun and getting up there. It's a several-hour production because there's so much involvement with everyone. So that's my favorite. Everyone leaves kind of with their face hurting from smiling and laughing so hard. And it's become a wonderful annual tradition.
That's fun. What is something new and exciting happening at Dunn?
Sure. So we just opened a brand new leadership center. It is a gigantic $6 million building on campus that has a student cafe and several workspaces and innovation lab. Our new college counseling office will be in there. Unfortunately, the grand opening was about the time COVID hit, so our students actually haven't gotten to experience and use the building. It also has like a student union in the way that we're so excited for them to use. So that'll be something new for the coming school year, and I'm excited to open the doors finally and allow students to experience it.
Yeah, it was under construction when I was last there, so
Yeah,
see that next time I go.
exactly.
What was a hot button issue from this past year or two? I'm sure COVID has been one. I don't know if there's anything.
Yeah, well, that was my easy answer. That was a layup right there.
It was.
It's nice to have meetings and stuff where you're not discussing COVID, because it's just become such a huge part of our lives here.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's one that's hard to ignore, and well, the planning that's going into the coming school year around it.
Mm-hmm, for sure. So who are the teachers at Dunn, and what role do they play in student success?
Yeah, about 80% of our teachers live right here on campus. So I always talk about how our teachers have the time, the energy, and the resources to really care about our students in a way that is really special. So, our teachers understand that when they sign up to work at a school like Dunn, that this isn't a job that you kind of show up, you teach, and then you leave for the day. They're eating meals together, they're coaching together. Our students get to know their spouses and their pets and things, and their kids and things like that. It's just a really special connection that they make with their teachers. And when I was interviewing for this position, say 8 years ago, that's part of the draw I had to Dunn School was, each faculty member that I was interviewing with or put in front of, they just seemed more interesting and engaging than the next. And it was just something I wanted to be a part of by working here.
That's great. What is a unique program or opportunity that Dunn offers?
Yeah, we have a wonderful business program and entrepreneurship class, so teaching students how to start and run their own businesses. It's really cool to see, because every year they have to come up with a business idea and get it off the ground and running, and what products are they going to sell, and what are the prices going to be, and when's it open, and all of those decisions they make. It usually turns into a cafe or a snack shop that serve all the unhealthy food we won't give them in the dining hall. They make a killing in their business. On average, they'll make $40,000 a year, and then
Wow.
and then with that money, they invest into the stock market. So they learn about investing. They have a portfolio of close to $200,000 right now that they manage. They work with CEOs from different companies on different projects, just to get an idea of the business world. So for a student who might be interested in that in the future, it's a great introduction to the business world.
That's great. How do you balance academic rigor with supporting students?
Yeah. So we're a college prep school, so our academics are going to be strong, and the rigor is going to be there. But we're also a school that's been founded in 1957 around whole student education. So what that means is that in addition to the academics, we focus on things like emotional wellness and social responsibility, physical readiness, moral courage, in a way that says, like, if we're just educating you in like math, science, English, history, and then we really kind of missing the mark as far as all the growth that we want to see in our students while they're here during their high school years. So we have built-in support. We have time that we make sure that in our curriculum we're delivering on all of our core values and not just the academic side of thing. So I would say that's kind of the balance that we do as a school.
Okay, great. So in terms of other areas outside of academics with sports and other extracurriculars, in terms of balancing also collaboration and competition, how do you guys navigate that for students?
Yeah, so we're a smaller school of 190 students. So when you think about things like sports, I would say we have some national level sports teams and students who go on to play Division I or professional after college and things like that. But because we're a small school, we also have a lot of students who are just interested in trying a new sport. And it's a unique environment that both of those kinds of students have a place in our sports program. And just because you're you're new, when you're a new student on campus, and if you've never played a sport, you will have coaches come up to you and say, hey, I don't care if you've never played basketball or volleyball. Why don't you come out for the team? It's a wonderful group of people, and we're going to start with the basics, and you're really going to enjoy it. So I would say sports is kind of that balance of, yes, students who are going on to play top level, but also really just being a part of the team and all the experiences that come with that. So, you know, I would say that would probably go for our extracurriculars as well. The idea of you don't have had to do it your whole life to have an interest in it or to experience it at our school. The whole idea of boarding school is it's a really safe place to just get involved with things and you know, try your hand and give it a shot, because you're going to have the support network there to help you along, and you know, not going to let you fail in those things.
Definitely, yeah. And how does Dunn support international students?
Sure. So we do have a class that all of our new international students will take to support them with their first year of being an international student on our campus. Everything from, you know, cultural lessons to English support and things like that. But I would say the majority of the support is going to come through that advisor-advisee relationship that our international students have as well. So our international students and all of our students will meet with their advisor every single day to check in on how they're doing, both academically, but also you know, emotionally and socially and things like that, and communicating home to their families. So I would say that advisor relationship is really instrumental there.
Okay. What is an example of exceptional student growth or impact that you've seen from a student who's come to Dunn?
Yeah, I would say, you know, we talk about it on tours all the time, and the idea of we have all these wonderful extracurriculars and clubs and things like that, but just because I don't talk about a certain program or we don't have a certain program that a student might be interested, Dunn School is a place that if you have a good idea, we're going to make sure that you have the support to get it off the ground and run with it. You know, that goes anywhere from that entrepreneurship class I told you about. That was actually a student generated idea, say 10 years ago, where that student wanted a space to have a store and to sell a couple things. And here we are 10 years later, and there's an endowment fund of 200,000 that kids are managing, and it's become kind of a staple of our curriculum. Other examples are things like fencing. You know, we don't advertise a fencing program, but to have a student come to campus who says, you know, this is something I'd like to do and start a club. And then by the end of his 4 years through here, I think there's about 20 or 30 kids who are involved with that, and local community support and things like that. So this is a place that you can really have an impact because of our size and our support. And it's always been fun to watch those stories develop.
What are the qualities that make for an attractive candidate and a good fit at Dunn?
Yeah, this kind of goes back to something I was talking about earlier, the idea of students who look at what we have to offer and say, wow, I've never done this, but I'm really excited to try this, 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 and this. That's where you get the most out of this experience, I would say. So, you know, in that interview process, I think it's fun to hear a student excited about all that boarding schools have to offer, because it is quite extensive. And you know, and I think a student coming in, they might identify as, you know, I'm a baseball player or I'm a musician, but to kind of not pigeonhole yourself in that area and say, you know, but also I'm excited to try X, Y, or Z in addition to my passions.
So what kind of information or indicators help you to identify these types of students who are going to be open to new opportunities and eventually having a contribution on campus?
Yeah, a lot of it happens in the interview and getting to know these students in that way. You know, the teacher recommendations also are very important throughout the application process as well, because, you know, you could be a straight A student and involved in everything, but if your teachers don't enjoy working with you, you know, that speaks a lot to, say, what kind of community member you are. And and that's an extremely important attribute for us in the admissions process.
Yeah, certainly with a lot of the families we work with in China, there's probably an overemphasis on test scores and an underemphasis on these qualitative factors that you're talking about. So it's very helpful for families to understand that. With that said, what role does testing play in the process, or even just kind of those more quantitative metrics?
Yeah. For our school, those standardized test scores and things like that, that's to prove to us that you're able to handle the academics rigor that we have here at the school. Once we kind of crossed into, okay, we're confident that this student can perform in a classroom, or receive the grades or the standardized test scores needed to be successful. That's really where more is measured through teacher recommendations, the interview, the application, things like that. So yes, we want to make sure the student's going to be successful here, but more important, we want to make sure that this student is someone that's going to be a wonderful addition to our community. So.
Yeah. And so how would you suggest like a student can put their best foot forward in an interview, and how does it factor into your overall application review process?
Yeah. The idea of an interview can sound pretty intimidating to students, when us in admissions know that it's actually a fun conversation. And the more we can just relax and get to know each other, and that's really what we're doing, is trying to get to know a student. There's no right or wrong answers. It's really just to get a sense of personality. It is an important part of the process, the application. But we're very holistic when we look through the different parts of the application. So, I wouldn't rank one thing as more important as the other. Really, what we're trying to do is piece together through all the different parts of the application who a student is, and certainly the interview is an important piece of that.
Do you have any like favorite or go-to questions that you feel like are pretty revealing about a student?
Yeah, I would say the one I like the most that we'll typically ask in our interviews is just asking a student, tell me when and where you're happiest and why. And I think part of that is because it's such, some students take it very seriously, the interview, and that question just gets them to reflect, and usually to smile, and you see the wheels turning, and you really get to know, what makes you tick, or, tell me your happiest place. And it just, a lot of students will talk about family, or the favorite thing to do, or a memory they have, or things like that. And that's just one of my favorite to really get to know those students.
Yeah, very positive. It's
Yeah.
good. What advice might you have for families and students who are embarking on the boarding school application process?
Yeah. So typically I would say visit. During these times, it's harder and harder to visit right now. So the reason I say that is because every school has a certain culture that you feel when you're on those campuses. And it's one thing to visit websites, or, look at photos or things like that. But until you kind of meet the students, meet the teachers, feel the energy of a place, it's really hard to piece all of that together. So I do think it remains an important part of this, if it's possible, going forward. But also, talk to current families and current students, or previous, alums and things like that, because they'll give you the full story as well, that in a way that you might not get through doing your other research.
Great.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Any final thoughts or anything else about Dunn that we haven't covered?
I think we covered a lot. Go
Good.
Earwigs.
Yeah.
No, I think this
Go
has been
Earwigs.
great to talk through some of this stuff, and I look forward to working with your families and
Yeah.
telling the story about Dunn a little bit more.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, this was great.